Welcome to the City of Newport special meeting of the Board of Commissioners, January 13th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. This is a special meeting and we can only address items on the agenda. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Radwanski.
Here.
Commissioner Smith-Morrow.
Here.
Commissioner Recton.
Here.
Commissioner Sutherland.
Here.
Mayor Kaduli.
Here. Our first action this evening is to welcome the Honorable Supreme Court Justice Michelle Keller, who will administer the oath of office for the Commissioner's 2025 to 27 term and the Mayor's term from 2025 to 2029.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now, pursuant to the mayor's request, we're going to do all this at once. He wants to get on with business. So all you all need to do is stand up, raise your right hand, and when I'm finished talking, say, "I do" or "I will." And you'll be able to tell that I'm at the end. And if you can't tell, I'm going to lean forward. Are you all ready?
We are.
Okay, here we go. Do you solemnly swear to support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this Commonwealth, and be faithful and true to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, so long as you continue citizens thereof, and to faithfully execute to the best of your ability the offices of Mayor and Commissioners, City of Newport, according to law? And do you further solemnly swear that since the adoption of the present Constitution, you being citizens of this state, have not fought a duel with deadly weapons within this state nor out of it, nor have you sent or accepted a challenge to fight a duel with deadly weapons, nor have you acted as a second in carrying such challenge, nor aided or assisted any person thus offending, so help you God?
I will.
Congratulations. Congratulations and best of luck to all of you.
Thanks so much for taking your time to join us for this special moment.
My
Appreciate you.
honor. Thank you all for your service.
All right, now we're going to move to some personnel orders. Commissioner's Order we'll just say number 1.
An order of the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, appointing Julie Smith-Morrow to the position of Vice Mayor in the City of Newport, Kentucky, effective January 1, 2025.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Any questions on the board? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Radwanski.
Yes.
Commissioner Sutherland.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Smith-Morrow.
Recuse.
Commissioner Recton.
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli.
Yes, and congratulations.
Congratulations.
Commissioner's Order number 2.
An order of the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, appointing Melissa Hofstadter to the position of Payroll Accounts Payable Specialist in the Finance Department, effective January 20th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
Lenny, welcome.
Good evening. The great Erin Brewster, current payroll AP specialist, and my work wife, is on course to hit her 27th year this year, and she is headed towards retirement. So we are taking this opportunity to bring somebody on board to work with them and work in parallel and get things kind of ready to go. It's worked really well when we did the accounts receivable specialist position. So back in December, we held some interviews and we've chosen Melissa as our candidate. She's already has experience in both payroll and AP, and she's going to be a great fit for the department.
Thank you.
Great. Any questions on the board?
Wonderful.
Any questions of the public? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Sutherland.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Smith-Morrow.
Yes.
Commissioner Recton.
Yes.
Commissioner Radwanski.
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli.
Yes, and congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Congratulations. Thank you. Welcome.
All right, the next item on the agenda is a consent agenda item, and it will be the first readings of Commissioners' Ordinance 3, 4, and 20.
An ordinance of the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, amending Section 31.42 of the Code of Ordinances regarding personnel within the Office of the City Manager. 4 is an ordinance of the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, amending Section 31.48 of the Code of Ordinances regarding Planning and Development Department. And this will be a second reading for 2024-20. An ordinance of the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, amending Section 31.44 of the Code of Ordinances regarding personnel within the Police Department.
So moved.
Before we get a motion in a second, I'd like to amend to add the assistant to the assistant city manager to number 3, which was discussed and sent out to the board. So I'd like to
Sure.
include that in the motion.
So moved. Second.
Any questions or comments? John, do you want to add anything to that?
Sure. So, Mayor and Board, as you're familiar, but for the public's edification as well, one of the first things that was important for me to do is upon becoming city manager is to look at some positions. How can we do some things more efficiently here in the city? What are some needs that we have that exist that perhaps aren't being met as well as they could be met? So I identified several positions here, and the one thing I want the public to understand too is, as part of this process, and we spent time with finance, and Mr. Stefan and I did, looking at these roles and figured out how to do these jobs without adding a significant amount of money to the budget. So what you're gonna see with these jobs is, it's gonna be practically a net zero effect. So what we've done is, some of these roles, we've moved people around, and then, from existing roles. For the ones in the public, as some people have retired or moved on, those positions won't be filled or be filled a little bit differently to make this work. One of my goals is that our staff will be perhaps more accessible than any Newport staff we've had in the past. I've been talking to the employees, and the employee positions that we have here will be instructed that being out in the public, talking to residents, understanding the concerns, going to neighborhood meetings, going to other meetings, and being a voice for people. So I want to kind of go down very quickly through the positions. So the very first one here is the Parks and Recreation Division. We haven't had a formal Parks and Recreation Division in the city of Newport in over 20 years, and that was obviously a casualty of all of the economic downturn in the early part of the 2000s. So as a result, we've done a Parks and Rec, but we've done it sort of piecemeal over time. We have 2 employees that are currently in the building who do an outstanding job and have a lot of skills in this area. One being Kim Colston. Kim Colston has spent a significant amount of time planning events on Monmouth Street, doing things like Pictures with Santa. She's always been involved in Easter egg hunt, a lot of different events like that she's good at. Kim's been very involved in her personal time with the American Legion and their sporting events there. So Kim is going to move from Chief Fangman's office as his assistant to going and being the Parks and Recreation admin. So she's going to be helping a lot of events in Newport. I've heard over the years, why don't we have the chili cook-off anymore? What about the Halloween parade? You know, remember we used to have a Christmas parade? Like a lot of those types of front-facing events that went on in our city that have fallen by the wayside for one reason or another. So we're going to, she's already working on that project. Dalen Garland, who is I think a role model to a lot of young people all over the city and has been for a long time. On his own personal time, spends a significant amount just working with kids and being with kids at their sporting events. And if you go to a sporting event in Newport, there's a good chance you're going to run into Dalen. So Dalen's going to step up in this Parks and Rec role, and one of the things that we've talked about is basketball for our kids. This has been a request I've heard repeatedly about a place to play basketball. And some of the concerns over time have been, well, we have a basketball hoop, and then the older kids or young adults come and they take it over and the young kids don't get to play or whatever. And I understand that. But that can't just be an excuse. We have a challenge and we got to find the answer to that. So Dalen is going to be working on basketball leagues, youth pickup games, things of that nature in a supervised environment where it's safe and it's going to be fun for all of the kids. They're going to be looking at returning youth softball and baseball, things like that we haven't done in the past. If people don't know, we had gotten a commitment last year from FC Cincinnati to do a soccer pitch that they're going to put in the west side of the city. They want participation for leagues and things like that. So again, that's going to fall into Parks and Rec. So there's going to be a significant amount of outreach that we can have with young people with this. And we're going to give our youth some activities. And I think that's important in the summertime. The next position in the Office of the City Manager, I have three positions there. One, as the mayor laid out, was an assistant for the Assistant City Manager. We have a lack of clerical staff in some areas. In our budget, we had some room to move for some part-time folks to be upstairs. I think we got a really good front desk staff upstairs as it is. Our current city clerk is going to offer some backup when we need people there. That frees up those funds that we can have someone that's working more on the clerical side of what's going on in the city manager's office. The other role I call a municipal and community liaison. This individual is going to spend time going through our budget line by line all year long. The finance staff, they work lean and they work tight, but there's only so many folks there. And during the year, departments have needs that come up and their budget needs change. That has to get triaged through finance, through the city manager, and when you've got, let's say, the police chief who is busy already trying to get things done and dig through the budget, and you might run into Lenny at a time that he's extremely busy and some of those things fall to the wayside. So we're gonna have someone who's gonna be able to working all year long with these departments, making the budget work. That way, when we come back in years in the future, we're not gonna be bringing you a budget in June and saying, we have 2 weeks to get this thing passed. Hopefully, over time, we'll be bringing that budget around like in May, for example, giving us more time to discuss and get into the weeds of it. The other thing this person is gonna do is spend some time as my eyes and ears out in meetings that I can't make it to, listening to things that are going on in the community and having concerns. Again, a big part of what I feel like is community engagement, neighborhood engagement is key here. So we're gonna work on that. The other is a position of an economic development coordinator. This person will be an entry-level position. What I foresee this individual doing, first and foremost, is we got a lot of vacancies on Monmouth Street, and that ebbs and flows over time. But we need this individual to do more than just say there's vacancy. I would anticipate that they get on the ground with the property owners, find out what the concerns are. How can we help them? How can we place them with other businesses that they're looking for a spot? So I'm looking for this person to be out here looking to meet entrepreneurs, other people that want to open businesses, find out what they're looking for, and see where we can fit those pieces together. So I think that will help be a strategy as we deal with vacancies on Monmouth Street. The other thing that's going to go in front of the Board of Commissioners over time is, what is the board's vision of Monmouth Street overall? What does it look like? There was a study that was conducted last year that we haven't seen the results of yet about two-way Monmouth Street. That's something that's been considered. We have an entertainment district. There's questions about when that should be activated, how often, what does that look like for hours, all of those things. So somebody that's going to be out there engaging these businesses and the residents that live in these places to have those conversations about how does this affect you. So again, through the same theme, more communication back and forth on both sides. So that's where that's at. And I believe that covers all of the new roles in these positions, Mayor. And then the other is the second read for the social worker for the police department. I believe that was discussed in the December meeting.
Thank you, John. Any questions on the board? Seeing none, I'll just say thanks for putting that together and communicating it effectively to the board. I think it addresses the concerns that the board has put forth and puts us on a plan to actually activate and do some of the things that we've been talking about at a retreat and other things. And we will be doing another one of those in the coming months. And what's the date on that?
February 8th.
February 8th, we'll be having a board retreat again, and we'll be touching on all these topics. And now we're going to have the infrastructure to execute on some of those things. Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Smith Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Recton,
Yes.
Commissioner Redwanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Sutherland,
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli.
Yes. That moves us to the approval of the December 9th, 2024 regular minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or corrections? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Recton,
Yes.
Commissioner Redwanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Sutherland,
Recuse.
Vice Mayor Smith Morrow,
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli.
Yes. New business, first reading of Commissioner's Ordinance number 2.
An ordinance of the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, amending sections 30.025A and B of the Code of Ordinances regarding meetings.
Mayor, this is one, as the board knows, and we've all, sometimes through the years, will have a lot of people that come to a meeting to have input. I find that when we start a meeting, the later we start a meeting at 7 o'clock, and there's a significant input, we could get to 9:30, 10 o'clock. And when it happens like that, it's human nature, we start turning our minds off. We're not paying as much attention, it gets later, we're thinking about other things, work, all that type of stuff. So moving the meeting a little earlier gives a little bit more discussion time for those long meetings. And then depending on how this is received, may ultimately move back in a year or two to about 6 o'clock. But we want to make sure that our meetings are still accessible to residents. People have plenty of time when they get home from work to come either watch the meeting on internet or come down here to see it. So I think right now 6:30 is an appropriate time to test this and see where we go.
Well, your comments are appreciated and valued, but we need the motion first in a second.
So moved.
All
There
right,
we go.
great. So everything John said. Any comments from the public, from the board? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Commissioner Radwanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Sutherland,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Smith Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Grecton,
Yes.
Mayor Cadoli.
Yes. Commissioner's order number 3.
An order of the Board of Commissioners, City of Newport, Kentucky, authorizing and directing the city manager to enter to and execute a short form lease agreement with Stryker Sales LLC for the purchase of equipment to be used in the fire EMS department.
So moved. Second.
Chief Paluso.
All right, thank you, and congratulations to you all.
Thank
Thank you.
So this is a seven-year agreement to purchase 3 cardiac monitors and 2 CPR devices. While it doesn't seem like you would need 7 years to pay those off, these are extremely expensive pieces of equipment, and I feel that this is a fiscally responsible way to do it. We're taking 7 years to pay it off, but in that 7 years, we're also getting the option to buy it outright at the end of the lease. And we're also getting our annual preventative maintenance with it. We're gonna get any parts that we may need, any labor, any travel time. We will have 24/7, 365 customer support. But we also, as those of you that have rechargeable batteries in anything, you know how expensive just the batteries are. We will get battery coverage for the 7 years as well. So if a battery goes out, you don't have to buy a $400 or $500 battery. It's gonna get replaced for those 7 years. So it's gonna be, my initial estimate was it was gonna cost about $60,000 a year. It's actually gonna be just over $48,000 a year, which is roughly the cost of 1 monitor without any of the accessories that you need. So just to get a monitor, no battery, no bags, no equipment, no cables, nothing. Essentially a paperweight. We're gonna have everything for that cost over 7 years.
Have other fire departments in the area worked with this company?
Yes.
We have as
Yes.
well?
Ms. Quigley, our sales rep, apologized for not being here tonight. She had a previous engagement. She was gonna be here last week. But Mother Nature decided differently for all of us. But, Stryker has a great reputation, and we have been using them for the whole time that we've been ALS. And the only complaint I have about them is their color scheme. Convince them to switch from yellow and black to orange and black, it would be a lot better. But those were picked before I had a say.
I have one other question. I wonder if by the end of the 7 years, if there will be modernized equipment that we might roll into. Newer equipment would be an option as part of the lease agreement, or?
There is, with this particular package, there is no upgrade included.
Okay.
But that being said, yes, there likely will be technological
Yeah.
advances, and it will be time to start thinking about turning over to new equipment. That being said, we aren't just throwing away the equipment we have. As part of this agreement, they take the equipment we have and they buy it back from us. And they are even buying back a piece of equipment that is ridiculously old. So, albeit they're not giving us a great deal amount of money for that piece of equipment, it's better than
And if I recall from the past, the benefit is full wraparound service. If a unit goes down, they replace it immediately. You're never left with a lapse of equipment, right?
That is correct. If, we have 24/7, 365 customer support. If they can't fix it, they will replace it. So, now that is through equipment fault. If something tragic should happen and it's destroyed, that may not be the case. It has to be an insurance claim at that point.
Understood. Any other questions from the board? Questions from the public? Please call the roll.
Commissioner Sutherland,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Smith Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Recton,
Yes.
Commissioner Radwanski,
Yes.
Mayor Kaduli.
Yes. All right, we've completed the business of the day, so now we're going to move to department head comments. Dan Braun. Lenny. Chief Paluso. Chief Fangman.
Congratulations to all of you. We had a all supervisor staff meeting today, to which I handed down direction from the city manager's office and spoke of our new commission and mayor, well, current mayor, that we are proudly supporting. You have our full support from the police department, and thank you guys for your leadership.
Thank you, Chief. Assistant City Manager Brian Steffen.
Just real briefly, I won't take too much time. I just wanted to acknowledge, I don't mean to steal this from you guys. Just wanted to acknowledge Public Works and the great job they did keeping up with this really heavy snowfall that we just experienced. And they did a really good job. Also just would ask the public patience and appreciate the patience that we've seen so far as we continue to remove some of these areas of significant piles of snow and intersections and along the parking lanes on Mama Street. We're also continuing to start clearing along the underpass and certain high pedestrian traffic areas to make sure that people aren't walking the street to go up the hill or across the bridge, what have you. So we're going to be continuing to work on that all week. Hopefully we get a break in the weather and we'll see some of this melt. But again, they did a great job. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian, and thank them. City Manager John Hayden.
Mayor, piggyback on Brian's comments. It's been, Public Works fantastic. Those individuals, and I know the public has been great about this too. I mean, we've had these guys working 12-hour shifts. They would go home and they're coming back 12 hours later, and it's just, they worked really hard. They're exhausted, but still out there every day. I know the frustration that some people feel that like to walk, and so we're working on that. We're talking about some things internally to find ways to help some of that move earlier and quicker. In the reality, though, manpower is being what it is. There's only so many individuals that we have. There's only so many pieces of equipment that we have to be able to do that. But we are gonna work on strategies to try to mitigate some of those concerns, especially on bridges and other walkways, for sure. I also wanted to thank our friends in the police department. When this snowstorm happened the other night, Officer White and his crew went out without direction and shoveled all the lots so the emergency vehicles get in and out of here. And they did on their own, just as team players. So we really appreciate that. Just very quickly, I touched on some of this in my comments earlier. One of some of the biggest goals that I have as city manager is to increase communication between the city and the public, so that we can better understand one another, that we can address complaints quicker. There's a lot of other things that we're looking at that will roll out here in the coming weeks to have those conversations. And the other big thing is transparency. It's always a concern. I think the city has always made efforts to be transparent, and we're going to redouble those efforts. So as you've seen, some of this will be simple moves. You saw when you got the agenda packet that went out this week, try to include a summary of what the items are. I mean, I know when you read the ordinances, and they've always been on our website, but they don't, if you don't know what section 30-something of the ordinances are, you don't even know what it's talking about, let alone what the proposed change is going to be. So trying to at least hit the highlights of agenda items so that you guys are aware of this is what's coming up, this is what it means, and if I want to come to the meeting, I've got time to come and address that, and nothing should sneak up on people that way. The other goal that we're going to work at in this, when we get all of our new hires onboarded, hopefully once by springtime, we'll be putting the agenda packet out, as I've talked with the city clerk, the Monday prior to the meeting. That gives the board and the public a week in advance to know here's the topics coming up, and it better prepares us all for whatever those issues and concerns are. I know that we've all been frustrated. Sometimes things get thrown on the agenda at the last second, and there's confusion about it or things like that. That's going to exist to a degree sometimes, and things come up and we have to tack them on. But we're going to do everything we can to get those agendas out earlier for you guys so that there's more out there in the public. And we've got some other ideas about enhancing our website, doing things of that nature to make everything more accessible, more transparent. So those are some of the goals that I have and things that Brian and I and the rest of the staff talk about quite a bit here. So, other than that, I congratulate all you guys. It's very exciting. It's when I was first elected to the board in 2008, it seemed like most of those people had been there a long, long time. And now everybody up here, none of them I served with when I first got elected. So it's been a lot of changes in the city in a very positive way. So I congratulate you all. I enjoy working with you and I look forward to several more successful years.
Thank you, John. On the board, newly elected Commissioner Aaron Sutherland. Your comments.
Thank you guys so much. Thanks for everybody for coming, and thanks to the public who voted for me. I don't know more than 2,000 people in the city of Newport, but somehow I got that many votes. So it's exciting and encouraging. Again, thanks to Public Works for all that they did during this historic snowfall. Since I've lived here, I've never seen that much snow on the ground, I don't think. This is an exciting time to be in Newport and to be a commissioner with the new leadership in the city manager's office, assistant city manager. These guys have some really good ideas and some cutting edge stuff that they're going to be doing. So keep your eyes open and watch what they're doing, because they're going to do an outstanding job. I've got a lot of faith in them. And then finally, I want to say that we lost Pat Crowley. A lot of people know him. He was a constant fixture in these meetings, and he was one of my close friends, and he's going to be missed. That's all I've got.
Thank you, Aaron. Commissioner Recton.
Sure. Thanks, Tom. Congratulations, Mike, Julie, Tom, Aaron. Look forward to the next couple years with you guys, and maybe more after that. The other thing I want to say is to Ray Ebert back there. Ray, thank you very much. Everything was no, stand up. Don't try to hide. I got phone calls. I probably say a half a dozen to a dozen phone calls of people saying thank you. And that's, there's a lot of negativity on some of the social web, but don't pay attention to that. Pay attention to the people that, care about it, and they do. People do care about the service that was given. Surely we'll do a post-mortem on it and see how we did and look for ways to improve, but everything is wonderful that way. Aaron mentioned that this is the time of the year where we all make our New Year's resolutions, and two people passed away over the holidays that really mean a lot to me, and Pat Crowley was one of them. The other one was President Jimmy Carter. And when I listened to the eulogies and the things that were said about Jimmy and about Pat, there were things that stood out that meant a lot to me. One of the things that was said about Pat often was kindness and compassion and commitment. Pat really exhibited that openness to anybody joining the ranks of a new reporter, which I know he reached out to new reporters and new commissioners or new people. He always reached out to them and met with them and had a lunch or a drink or something and met them at their level and gave them the advice that they needed to start out. The other thing that was said about Jimmy was amazing how kind he was and how compassionate he was, even to his, quote, political adversaries. You know, Jimmy was just a wonderful human being and someone we could emulate. So going through this year, I'm going to work on my kindness, which is going to need some work and help, my compassion, and my commitment. Both those men were committed to what they did and demonstrated that in their life. So that's all I have. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Ken. Commissioner Radwanski.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to congratulate all the board and Aaron, and I know that this is something that you wanted for quite a long time, so I'm happy to have you here on the board with us, and Ken, you as well, and Julie. You know, it's been an honor to know Julie. I met Julie very early on when I moved to Newport in a neighborhood group, and John as well, and very much so going to enjoy, I think, these next 2 years with you being our vice mayor. I won't belabor the point with Public Works, but you guys did an amazing job, and what people say in the socials, you just got to look past that sometimes. And don't let that get to y'all. You did an amazing job, and that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mike. Vice Mayor Julie Smith-Morrow.
Well, some of the same things that others have said, I will repeat because important stuff going on right now. First of all, thank you to all the citizens of Newport for your support, my family, my friends, my partners in the schools, of course, as always. I look forward to serving with all of you again and welcoming Aaron. It's good to work with you again after a couple years without you, so this is great. I'm so proud of our staff, and already John and Brian, in your new leadership roles, the thinking and the planning that you have done for efficiency and significant need, meeting those with these new positions, reconstituting parks and recs, that's a really big deal. Promoting from within is a big deal to me. I really appreciate that. I'm looking forward to seeing the positions of social worker filled in the police department, this municipal and community liaison. That's a really huge thing for our community, and I think a lot of people are really, truly going to appreciate that. And economic development, I can't wait. We're gonna have fun with that, and a lot of good stuff is gonna happen. I also want to tell Ray how much I appreciate you and all your folks that worked round the clock for days on clearing snow, and I think probably lost a lot of sleep during that time. You guys are fabulous, and I don't know where all the snow has gone, but you guys have been taking great care of it, and it's really much appreciated. I've heard far more positive comments on this than negatives, honestly, and I think people truly appreciate it. I hear other communities that still have their snow just, 11 inches deep, so along with the snow came some cold, and I really want to give a huge shout out to the Emergency Shelter of Northern Kentucky and partnership with the Campbell County Fiscal Court, St. Paul's Episcopal Church, and Holy Trinity Catholic Church in establishing the emergency shelter last week and extending it into this week. Some really good work going on there. A lot of people are using the shelter at St. Paul's, and I understand the volunteers from Holy Trinity have been very active. So it's much needed. I hope to make it down one night this week, maybe go pay a visit and see what's going on. On another note, I want to let you know that I was approved, I guess voted onto the board of the Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana Council of Government, and will be serving, representing Newport in that going forward. They deal with federal funding for transportation and environmental issues, and I am proud to serve as a board member and an executive committee member of that group. So I look forward to bringing updates on what's going on and see if we can, when appropriate, get some help for Newport as well. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. And I want to thank you all for being here today. Thanks for being here for this special day when we all get installed into our offices again or newly installed. And I want to thank my family, Heather, Gia, Louie, my mom and dad, my extended family, my friends, our network. And as we were talking about Pat Crowley, he was an incredible connector. And he connected us for good. And that is going to be a huge void for our community. And I charge all of us to do our best to connect people for good, like Pat did. It's a huge personal loss to me and a huge loss to our community and the city. But I want to tell you, it's an honor to stand before you today, not only as the mayor of Newport, but as a member of the community that believes working together for a brighter Newport and a brighter future. I want to reflect on what we achieved so far and what lies ahead. there's a lot of good that lies ahead. We got good plans, we got guidance, and we got a strategy, and we're going to build upon it. And I got to tell you, success doesn't come from one single person. It comes from a collective, a team approach, working together for the greater good of everyone. The city is more than just streets, buildings, and businesses. It's a community. It's a family. We're a family. And as your mayor, it's my job not only to lead, but to listen and to act and ensure every voice is heard. We're working hard every day to make sure Newport is a place where all of us, regardless where we come from or who we are, have an opportunity to thrive. But a city that works for everyone doesn't stop at policies and initiatives. It starts with transparency. We've made it an intentional priority, to ensure that every decision made and every project we pursue is better communicated openly and clearly. You deserve to know how and why we are making decisions that affects our collective future. And transparency is about trust. It's about knowing your government is accountable to you and that we are working for you, the people. Together, we've made solid progress. We've strengthened our local community, improved infrastructure, enhanced our public services, but there's more to do. We'll continue to focus on issues that matter to you most, but most importantly, this is your city. Our election or re-election wasn't about us, it's about all of us. It's about continuing the work as one team, pushing forward with clear, inclusive vision of Newport's future. Thank you all for your continued support. Together, we will make Newport a city that works for everyone, where opportunity, transparency, and community come first. Let's keep moving forward together. Thank you, and may I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Smith-Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Recton,
Yes.
Commissioner Radwanski,
Yes.
Commissioner Sutherland,
Yes.
Mayor